Kung sa DPWH may diskaya at ang kanilang group of companies, sa Department of Energy, may isang kumpanya rin ang nakakuha ng majority or 67%, more than half ng lahat ng kontrata for solar energy. That is about 14,000 megawatts or 14 gigawatts. Nung 2021 pa yon. Kung ang service contract ay usually 2 years, dapat nung 2023 operational na ang mga solar farms. Ang biggest contractor ng DOE, hindi nakapagtayo ng solar farms. Hindi nakapagbigay ng mura at sustainable na power sa mga rural at liblib na lugar sa Pilipinas. Pero, kahit pumalya at walang nagawang project ang contractor, nagawa pa rin kumita ng multi-billion ng may-ari at tinawag pa siyang youngest self-made billionaire.
We can end this debate once and for all and encourage Filipinos to stop all the coal plants about to start construction, not on the basis that coal is dirty, but that coal is in fact more expensive than solar. I think that startups, more than governments, can be the world's leading force for good.
Very diskaya ang atake, sipag at tiyaga. So kumbaga, kung sa DPWH may ghost flood control, may ghost solar energy sa Department of Energy, ghost pa ilaw. Ang DPWH nilulubog tayo sa baha. Ang solar para sa bayan ni Leandro Leveste. Iniwan ang bayan sa dilim.
But then right now, your very person is being questioned with what the Department of Energy has exposed. So you have critics saying that these contracts you've benefited from this. We're talking about now the solar contracts that that government had handed to you. You've benefited through this by the influence of your mother, through nepotism, and yet and you've defaulted from these contracts. So I want to ask you one by one. Number one, Solar para sa Bayan Pilipinas, you were given a 25-year franchise, and you were supposed to build solar grids on the underserved and poor communities. What happened there?
But first, I'll directly answer your question, and then I'd like to give an overall clarification. The franchise was granted in 2019. Right after the franchise was granted, a case was filed by an association of electric cooperatives to stop the franchise. There was supposed to be an IRR, according to the franchise, to be issued by the DOE, which was also not granted. And that made it difficult for the company to continue operations. And general law was passed in 2022, which had a repealing clause that said that legislative franchises on the same subject are hereby repealed or amended. Okay. And 2 years after that, the franchise was ipso facto revoked according to the provision of the franchise that if it is not operating for 2 years, then it is revoked. But notwithstanding those legal issues, I was actually reported by another media outlet based on the audited financial statements to have invested around 500 million pesos into the project.
But were you able to build?
And I built several power plants, including...
No, first with the solar para sa bayan.
Yes, yes. Which actually the physical assets are still there, and out of exceeding caution in compliance with the law, did not operate the plants, even if they are generating solar energy. Because
where are these plants?
Like there's one in Mindoro where you don't need to have an operating cost to run the solar power plant, so it's generating electricity, but because of a lack of permits and because of legal issues, it's not even operating. The power could go to the people for free. But the point is that we showed good faith in doing the project, but because of legal hurdles all throughout the process, out of exceeding compliance with the law, I stopped the operation of the project and thereby the franchise was revoked. But I'm saying it's the opposite of what is being characterized, that I didn't show good faith and I made money out of it. Actually,
not that company.
I showed good faith and I lost money from it.
Okay, that's yung solar para sa bayan. So let's now move to Solar Philippines. So Solar Philippines is another company, and with Solar Philippines, you were granted 42 contracts. Am I correct there?
I'm not sure of the exact number, but I wanted to clarify one thing.
Go ahead.
These are being referred to as contracts to develop projects, which are essentially permits, which the government does not pay the developer for. The developer actually pays fees to avail of the permits. So there is this media campaign being waged to compare this to DPWH contracts. DPWH contracts are paying public funds to the contractor.
For them to build.
Yes.
Yeah.
But actually, there's been no one from the power or energy industry that has commented about this, because people who are knowledgeable of the industry know that it is the nature of these development contracts, which are essentially permits, that you apply for much more than what you actually build.
Okay, but I think let's move on.
But
Okay.
there is no harm
Yeah.
to the public when a developer does not proceed with an investment, especially because there is a shortage of projects in the country, not because developers are stopping others from investing, but because of the difficulty of obtaining permits, which, by the way, the media attacks on my own example are not helping assure investors that if they come to the country, if they end up on the wrong political side of the fence, that they will not be attacked by people
Okay,
who are raising issue with something that very plainly, according to people who know the industry, are being mischaracterized because there are no public funds involved in these projects.
I understand that, you've made it clear, but at the end of the day, what word would you want me to use instead of contracts? 42 permits
No,
to build?
you can call it a contract if that's what it's called.
But what you're saying is government did not give you money to actually build.
Yes, it's being mischaracterized.
All right, but then there are conditions. No? So I want to read this, and then you can. As of December 2021, 2/3 of all solar contracts went to you. 2/3. And the estimate of the DOE is that each of those contracts are worth 10 billion pesos. Because wait, let me finish. If you built them, you would have had anyway a sure buyer, right? From the solar that would have produced. And there were conditions for you, the fact that you were given those contracts, for you to actually perform. For example, in 2024, they were expecting 14,000 megawatts from your company, but supposedly Solar Philippines only produced 174 megawatts.
Okay.
Is that correct?
There's many responses.
Okay, go.
First, it's not 14,000. It's a lower number.
Okay.
Second,
do you know the number?
Actually, they're using different metrics based on the types of contracts, but there's also no offtake for anywhere close to that number. There is no assured support for the project being given for these projects. And the reason why it is a large percent of the total pie is not because others are being prevented from availing of the same, but because others were not applying or seeking the same. Because
so what you're saying is, wala namang nag-a-apply ng solar noon. Ikaw lang, ganun ba yun?
Noon. And that the characterization is that because of this, others did not build. That's why mataas ang presyo ng kuryente sa Pilipinas. I think any of your viewers know that that is ludicrous. And the people in the industry would also not make that same claim, because the reason why people are not building is because of the difficulty of obtaining permits, but that the
but why weren't you able to build, Representative Leveste? Why not?
Just explaining that this 2/3 number it really doesn't belong in this discussion at all. Because I applied for contracts to develop projects, and others also apply, and I think since then many others have applied. But the other number that you mentioned, I really don't know where it comes from. There's a certain financial amount. That's the amount that I, as a private investor, could invest in the project, not the amount that will be given to me. Again.
Definitely not. But I think when they say it's worth that, it means that you could have invested that.
Honestly, no one wants these contracts. It's not worth anything.
Okay, so what happened? Why did the DOE then cancel 32 or 33 of your contracts?
That is the nature of the business. When you don't proceed with investing in a project, you have the contracts terminated.
So why didn't you invest? What happened?
Yeah, anyone that you would ask about the industry could tell you that at every step of the process, you have to convince people to sign government permits, and the...
But one would think you wouldn't have that problem. Your mother is a powerful senator. The fact that you got all these contracts, you already have viewers thinking it's because of your mother. So to use that now that you had a difficult time doesn't match. What is it?
It's difficult doing business in the Philippines for everyone. But again, the fact that we're even discussing this on a show that is of matters of public interest is, I think, very curious, because I'm just explaining. I did not receive money from the government and then did not do the contract.
I think that's clear.
So then if it's a question of why did I not proceed to invest billions of my own money for planned projects, then that's not really of public interest, because
it is because you became part of the national power plan.
That is a stretch.
Okay.
Because generation is not like distribution or transmission where you are a monopoly. If you are the monopoly provider of electricity at the detriment of others to do the same, then may tungkulin ka na mag-operate. But if you're like a developer of a housing subdivision or a shopping center, and you don't proceed because of the difficulty of developing the projects or a difficulty of obtaining a market, that's another thing. That there are other offtake agreements that still need to be secured to secure a contract, or a lack of transmission by the national grid. Then it is not because of you that there is not supply in the market, but it is one's own prerogative to invest or not invest in a project.
Well, the thing is, you have government actually looking for good investors that could help build the country, right? So I'm going to quote from Secretary Garin so you can answer this directly. You had 43 contracts, 32 have been terminated. You were supposed to deliver, and I'll quote, 200 megawatts in Tarlac, 300 megawatts Nueva Ecija, 1,200 megawatts General Santos, 20 megawatts in Nueva Ecija or 20 in Ormoc, badly needed, 980 and more, and you did not do it. You didn't deliver.
Thank you very much for allowing me then to bring up that President Bongbong Marcos was the guest of honor at the groundbreaking of a project that I developed in Nueva Ecija in November 2024. Perhaps Secretary Garin was also there.
Okay, and how many megawatts was that?
That is a 3,500 megawatt project, which is the largest foreign investment in the whole Philippines in 2025. I sold the project to Meralco in December 2023 onwards, and the project has been heralded by the DOE for being a stride in increasing renewable energy and power supply, and there's a selective cherry picking of there are contracts.
Would you describe this as your biggest project, the one in Nueva Ecija?
That is essentially what Meralco bought when they bought my company.
Yeah, okay.
And my point is that to achieve some kind of media narrative, there are being told stories about projects that I did not do, and what is patently false is that only 2% of the projects have been delivered, when the 3,500 megawatt project is being omitted from this narrative. So again, why are we even talking about this on a public affairs show? But if we are talking about,
I think it matters because the issue
actually,
is who government gives contracts to.
Wonderful question.
Yes, but then let's finish this first. We will go back to this.
Let us have another discussion on the list of all the winners of DOE auctions, not only for solar energy, but for all kinds of renewable energy. Ayoko lang pong madamay ang buong power industry, Ma'am Karen. Pero pag mabuksan natin ang mga winners ng lahat ng mga DOE at ibang power supply bids sa buong bansa, baka we will be taken off the air. Because
makipag-ugnayan. Pero nais ko din pong i-take itong opportunity para linawin for the nth time. Wala po akong nakuhang kahit piso mula sa gobyerno para sa aking mga proyekto. Dahil ang mga proyekto ko ay mga private investments. May mga nagme-media campaign kasi na itong mga proyekto ay parang mga ghost project, parang DPWH ghost project daw. Kaya sinasabi ghost ang DPWH project dahil nagbayad ang gobyerno tapos hindi ginawa ang project. Pag walang binayaran ng gobyerno at hindi ginawa ang project, parang lang yan lahat ng mga proyekto sa planning stages ng mga pribadong kumpanya. Baka kasi akala ng iba, nagbigay. At may mga naglabas pa nga sa social media na may nakuhang pondo mula sa gobyerno. Walang kahit piso mula sa gobyerno para sa mga pinlanong proyekto na hindi natuloy.